There's nothing like a new set of sheets, and I just got the classic organic percale sheet set from Quince in white. It is classic. It is luxe. It is so comfortable. Whether you run hot or cold, these sheets feel perfect. It's luxury at the right temperature and at the right cost. Quince is everything you need to bring that warm seasonal upgrade to your home. Breathable bedding, like I just got, handcrafted furniture, premium woven rugs, and elevated curtains that pull the whole space together. I'm so impressed by the finishes from Quince. The linens feel luxe, the silk curtains look high-end, the sheets are fantastic, and all the materials are built to last. By partnering directly with ethical factories and top artisans, Quince cuts out the middleman to deliver premium quality at half the cost of other high-end brands. Elevate your space this fall with beautiful home essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. It looks expensive, but it's not. Hey everybody, I'm Kelly Wilkness here with Anita Joyce, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks. Today we're going to talk about insider tips for budget decorating. So we're giving you some insider tips, secrets even today on getting a really wonderful designer luxe look on a budget.
Well, Kelly, I think this is what we do. Designers hate paying retail. We are always looking for a good deal. We're looking for ways to do things a little less expensively, also because we like to make changes to our houses often. Well, do I want to say this is one of our core competencies?
One of our core competencies. I love that. I never thought about that. I'm going to think about what else we can put on that list. Yeah, this is great. And a lot of people think if you work with a designer, you can end up spending a lot of money. And I guess that can be true, but it really depends on the designer. I know myself and I know us as a pair, we end up saving people money and giving them ideas on how they can get a great look for less. Still getting that same luxe, wonderful look in your home. And I think it starts with an approach. So I have an approach that I like to keep in mind when I'm decorating in general, but specifically if I'm looking for myself, which I always am, to save some money, as you have stated, but certainly for clients. People are thrilled when you educate them on how they can get a great look and also save some money. Okay, so I want everyone to think about their decorating sort of as their wardrobe or their clothing, because I think it's a good analogy. We've all heard of the little black dress, and probably you've heard of a camel overcoat. The little black dress doesn't have to be expensive, but it always looks like it is. It always looks good. It's not over the top. It's not overly flashy. It's classic and beautiful. Always going to be spot on. You can rely on it. And it's always going to make you look good. The same with a camel overcoat. So it could be wool, it could be cashmere, but it's just going to finish off your look. It's a classic. You're going to have it in your closet for years and years and years, along with that little black dress. This is what you should be thinking about, particularly if you've got a tight budget and you want to have a more luxe, more expensive looking home. You want to work with neutrals. You want to work with simple lines. You want to work with some classic silhouettes. And you definitely want to work in a little black, always good in every room. And I think you want to add some camel. There is something about that color that just lends a luxe look. Think of, as I said, the camel overcoat or a camel colored cashmere sweater. Now, okay, let's get out of your closet and start thinking about your living room or family room or dining room even. You can translate into camel colored pillows, and it could be any sort of fabric, but having that color. textured camel is, even if you're doing like a sizery neutral rug, it kind of has that vibe to it, has that color to it. And then you're going to add in a little black along with your neutrals. So some whites and off-whites.
This is very interesting that this is your approach, because I actually have, I would say, a very different approach.
How exciting.
And that is, I am always looking for the unique, the unusual. I'm looking for something that's my style or a client's style, but something that is not run of the mill, something that's a wow piece. I'm looking for something to add some pizzazz to the room. So if it looks mass produced, if it's something I've seen everywhere, then I'm not interested in it. I mean, I do think that's a great approach to add some classics to the room, and I am not opposed to that. And I do believe in the power of the simple print, for example, and a limited color palette for a room. I think those are very powerful and wonderful things to do to a room. It's a very beautiful look, and it ends up looking very high end, for lack of a better word. It looks very well done. But I'm also looking for something fun, something unique, and something that's going to add just that certain something to a room that's going to make it look different than anybody else's.
Well, I don't think we're in opposition at all here. I think you can have a foundation of the neutrals with some camel and a little bit of black and classic silhouettes, and then you add something super unique that you're not seeing anyplace else, that is not mass produced. And hopefully, and if you're on a budget, you're going to do it. You're going to get that item at a great price, whether it's by thrifting or yard selling or consigning or getting it handed down to you. You are going to add a piece like that, say a mirror that's spectacular, to a room that's neutrals with some camel and a little bit of black, and wow, you've done it. You have decorated in an expensive looking manner on a budget. Can't we agree, Anita? Come on.
Well, right. And I don't think it's necessarily incompatible, because I think you can do both what we're saying at the same time. So that wasn't something I was thinking about right now, is getting your classics in there. But, I'm not in the black and camel color palette like you are. So I would be going with different colors, something maybe a little more cheery than that. But you were a New Yorker for a long time. So I get that love of black and camel and neutrals. And I have had a very neutral house for a long time, but I am, I'm loving the color now.
But I'm saying for the budget decorating to look luxe, I think that this is kind of an easy path to take, right? It's a little bit harder to pull it off with color. So I think that this is a great entry to a luxe look for less. And again, my opinion, and you have great opinions too. So everybody who's listening can take a little bit of this and take a little bit of that. So that would be my initial approach. And it sounds like Anita's initial approach, she has explained, would be finding something super unique, a unique item, and maybe using different colors. But so we're giving you our introductory approach to this type of decorating. Now we can get into some specific tips. One of my tips is to check out the kid version of things. Now, just because it says Pottery Barn Kids doesn't necessarily mean it's only an item for kids. And I mentioned Pottery Barn because it's the most obvious one to everybody. Everybody knows about Pottery Barn Kids. You probably get the regular catalog along with the kids catalog. If you're trying to save some dollars, and it could be not just like $10 here, it's like hundreds of dollars sometimes, particularly on accessory type items like a poof or maybe a little accent chair or a little desk chair. And when I say little, I don't mean small, like child size, not adding Lilliputian sized furniture to your home, just a small accent chair.
Well, interesting you say that, because my headboards I have in one room are Restoration Hardware from the child website there, Restoration Hardware, and they're French and painted white and beautiful. That is a great place to look, and they do have some beautiful furniture there, and they can sometimes be a little bit less expensive.
Particularly lighting, as a lamp is not, unless it's got, like nursery rhymes on it or something like that. It's not a kid's lamp. And most of these places don't carry things like that would be for babies. So you're talking about something that is just a little bit less expensive, but you're getting the same item. So that's something to explore.
Get unique, non-traditional artwork. And this plays into my don't do what everyone else is doing. Don't buy mass-produced artwork. Try to find something unique. You can always use baskets. We've talked before about using plates and platters on your wall. Salvage pieces from furniture, rugs, throws. I'm looking at some of my rugs that I don't really have a place for, and I'm trying to find a place to hang it in my house somewhere on the wall. The other thing you can do is go to consignment stores, antique shows, and look for inexpensive vintage art. I love old portraits. Keep an eye out, and they're out there.
Spend in target spots. Spend in places that are going to have high touch. So you're going to have a budget for your decorating, and so you should allocate a little bit more to things that are going to be very obvious and things that you are going to interact with a lot on a daily basis, because that is going to make you feel good. And that is going to continually give the sense that you're surrounded by some luxury. You can save in a lot of places. We tell you that all the time. You don't have to spend a lot of money on rugs. You don't have to spend a lot of money on lighting anymore. And you really don't even have to spend a lot of money on draperies. There are so many great options out there. That's just to name a few things where you can save, where in the past you really couldn't. So maybe take some of those dollars. Now, I know we're talking about budget, but you're going to break up the budget, and some things are going to cost a little bit more than others. What I'm saying to you is those target areas and those high touch things is where I would put some of my extra budgetary dollars. An example, maybe a fantastic mirror in your entryway. It's going to make a wow statement when you're coming and going, when guests are coming and going, and it's a useful item. And then maybe you're going to spend a little bit more on your faucet if you're doing a kitchen renovation, because that's something you're going to be interacting with every day. So it certainly doesn't have to be those two items. So I'm just giving you examples of places and target spots that could take a little bit more of your budget, but it's going to really pay off in the long run. And you can save in other places. Are you still using the same makeup you used in your 20s? Well, it's time for a change, and that change should be to Jones Road Beauty. I cannot tell you how much I love this beauty line. Jones Road Beauty is a minimalist makeup brand founded by makeup artist Bobbi Brown, and it creates versatile, easy-to-use products that simplify your routine. It's clean makeup that actually performs. And in particular, their Miracle Balm, well, it is aptly named because it is a miracle product. You put it on, it's effortless, it feels great, and you have this glow about you. I use it every day. Oftentimes, it's the only product I use. So if you've been using the same makeup for a long time, or you're having frustrations with your makeup in general, come on over to Jones Road Beauty with me. Make the change to modern-day makeup that's clean, strategic, and multifunctional for an effortless routine. And for a limited time, our listeners are going to get a free cool gloss on their first purchase when they use the code DTT at checkout. Just head to jonesroadbeauty.com and use the code DTT at checkout. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. And of course, please tell them it's from Decorating Tips and Tricks.
Hey, y'all, I am Kim Gravel. I am a mom. I'm an entrepreneur, and I am the host of The Kim Gravel Show. If you feel discouraged, hopeless, tune in every week to The Kim Gravel Show. You'll get a little nugget of encouragement, a little nugget of hope, and a whole lot of support. This show is for all of us to come together, connect, feel encouraged and inspired, and laugh a little along the way. Just search for The Kim Gravel Show anywhere you get your podcast.
So what about disguising a sofa that you don't like so much? There are so many things that you can do. Maybe it's a sofa that you just don't like, or maybe it's kind of past its prime. There's so much you can do. So for my sofa, I had made some linen slip covers, and I think I had mentioned my daughter got some Sharpie on it. So I actually found a matelassé cover from a bed that wasn't being used, and I cut it and just sewed it around both of the cushions, and it works great. So that's something that I was able to do with that sofa. But let's say you don't like the back of the sofa. You can cover it up with a beautiful throw, a blanket. I've even used rugs before. You can use the Cantha quilts or the Suzanne throws. Anything back there can disguise the back of the sofa. And another thing is you can kind of trick the eye and buy some maybe high-end pillows. So you've got these gorgeous pillows, and your eye is focused on those instead of the sofa. So there's so many things that you can do to really disguise that sofa. Obviously making a slip cover, but then by the time you've spent the money to pay someone to do that, you could have just bought a whole new sofa. But anyway, so there's a lot of things you could do with your sofa.
No, that is a great solution. And maybe you don't really like the sofa, or maybe you do like it, but you're just a little bored and you want to change it up. These are great suggestions on how to just change it up for the seasons, or just change it up on a whim. Throwing something over the back is so nice, and it adds layers and depth to your decorating. So maybe a camel cashmere throw, something like this. I'm keeping in line with my whole approach here. But anything like that would be great. Please just don't be fooled by those polyester, what have you, slip covers that look like a fitted sheet.
Oh, you're hurting me.
And they say, it's going to fit any sofa on the planet. It's not. And even if it does, it's going to look like you put a yicky fabric fitted sheet over your sofa. Outdoor furniture, like I mentioned, checking into the kids' versions of things. Outdoor furniture is a whole world that you could explore, and it's just not for outdoors anymore. You could bring it inside. I love a metal side table. I love a garden stool next to an accent chair. Even coffee tables. And lots of times the outdoor furniture is a lot less expensive. It's just sort of like a mental thing with the retailers. It's outdoor. It shouldn't be that expensive. Now, certainly I am not suggesting that you get one of those matching sets from Lowe's and put it in your living room. That is not, and I repeat, not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the little accent piece here or there, little side table, maybe even nesting tables, something metal, maybe some metal and glass, maybe ceramic if you do like the garden stool idea. So that's what I'm talking about. And those pieces, oftentimes when they are referred to as outdoor furniture, are somehow just markedly less expensive.
Well, that's a good point. Let's move on to curtains. You kind of talked about curtains a little bit earlier, and there are so many off-the-rack options now that we didn't used to have. You used to have to spend a lot of money to have custom curtains made to have anything decent. But now, Restoration Hardware, Pottery Barn, Anthropologie, which is my very favorite source, all these places have beautiful curtains and in lots of different lengths. And usually you can make one of those lengths work for you. You could even get something very simple and then just add a strip of fabric just kind of to the edge, a contrasting fabric to add something kind of luxe to it, or a trim. And I know a lot of people don't sew anymore. I know I'm just a weirdo in that way, but you can buy the hemming tape or, these hemming glues, and you just iron it on and there's no sewing required.
I've never tried that, but I'm sure it does work, but I don't like to iron. So
I can't do everything for you there.
Everybody knows somebody who can sew, or you could take it to the dry cleaner. They sew it on. So another idea that I had was trim. So along the lines of what Anita's talking about, I think she's covered the draperies and window treatments really well. You can add a piece to the panel to make it longer. You can add some trim, even if it's long enough, and you want to add some trim just to make it look like it's more intentional, more designer, more luxe, more expensive than it really is. Then you can add some gorgeous trims. Now, of course, Samuel & Sons, I just oogle over all their trim. You guys have probably seen their ads. They're all over the high-end decor magazines. They have very clever ads. ads, actually. But you don't need to spend $136 for a yard of eyelash fringe, but yum.
Yeah.
You can go to your local sewing shop. I don't know, are Joann's still around, or Michael's, or
No, baby.
Joann's
No.
probably.
No.
Is that gone?
Joann's
Whoever
is
is
gone.
left. So there's something online, I'm sure. Or Etsy actually has a lot of trims, so it might not be a place you would think about for trim. So Etsy has a lot of trims. I just came upon, it's like clerical trims and fabric. It's a website.
What?
I was looking for some trim. Some people, longtime listeners, might remember I talked about a cordless lamp that I purchased on Amazon that was less expensive but nice, less expensive than Pookie, but I wanted to add a little trim to it. So I was looking for some trims and Googling around, and I came up with this site, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like clericaltrims.com, and it's actually like for priest outfits. Like for their
cleric.
robes.
Oh.
Cleric.
I
Yes,
thought you meant like
cleric.
as in clerk.
No. And yes. And so they had beautiful trims, lots with like little gold running through it and whatnot. So I kind of just saved it. I didn't purchase it yet, but I just wanted to get like a yard. And I mean, I don't even need a half a yard. I probably just need like 16 inches to go around this little shade. But if I can find it, I will add that to the show notes as a link, because very interesting trims, very reasonably priced.
Oh.
So yes, since you can't go drive in your car or walk to your local Joann's because they no longer exist,
Yes.
then probably going to be primarily online. And you don't have to spend a lot of money for that. And if you're just doing the bottom of a curtain panel, what is a curtain panel? Usually like 54 inches?
Yes.
It's not that much.
Well,
If you're just doing the bottom.
Calico Corners has them, but
Oh, there you go.
they're not going to be budget. They're going to be expensive. I'm just going to warn you right now. But yeah.
Can you buy yardage of trim?
Oh,
from them?
yes. Yes.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked with Calico Corners for years,
I
and
remember that. Yeah.
yeah, they sent me trim all the time. Yeah, it's beautiful.
You had to do projects with them all the time, right?
I did. It was a very fun working relationship. They were wonderful.
Yeah, that was a perfect match.
Well, there's something I was going to suggest, and I did this at my other house, and I am going to do it at this house. Have not done it yet. Very excited about it, and that is paint your doors a contrasting color from your walls. And at our other house, and this was back in 2012 when I painted my doors gray, and now everybody's done it. You know, I feel like it's kind of too ubiquitous now. I mean, I'm kind of done with gray, so I'm not doing gray, but I think I'm going to do blue. But it does really kind of dress up the room to have a door that's a different color. I think it really adds a nice personality to the room, and it's a way to introduce some color in a big way. I think that's contained. I'm very excited about it.
You're such a door disruptor. It was so awesome when you did that. And then I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I held my breath the day the painters came. But I love that my doors upstairs are all black.
Oh, that's right. You did the black. Yes. Didn't that make a big
Glossy
difference?
black. Oh, yeah. And we have the old hardware, and it's original to the house, but it doesn't all match and whatever. But it just looks so fantastic against the black. And then because I have a narrow, longish hallway, I have some mirrors hanging sort of in the stair landing where it turns, but it's too narrow for art. You can't really appreciate art. It's way too narrow to even put like a corbel type table like you had set up back in the Heights. So I really can't do anything. So I just have a long runner, and then painting the doors black just brought the hall to life. And then what I did is it dead ends actually at the door to the third floor where I am right now, podcast studio. And above that door, I put an old oil painting in a really great frame. So that's your sight line when you come up the stairs
nice.
and turn. So that you see the black doors on the sides. Fantastic. I would recommend that to anyone. And you can, if you have an upstairs, you could do it just on your second floor.
Sure.
I think it lends itself to any style home, don't you think, Anita?
Oh, I think so. And it just specific to you, what color you paint it, but there's so many options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would suggest a darker color, more saturated, but I mean, I guess you could get away with a pastel even. I mean, if that was something you were into, but I think something with some oomph can really be great.
Well, and while we're talking about doors, I was going to suggest changing out the door hardware too. This house, when we moved in, again, it is a Texas farmhouse. It's all shiplap, so it's a very traditional farmhouse. And they had the levers. Now, it's all oil rubbed bronze, which isn't my favorite. And I contemplated changing everything out to brass, but the hinges are all oil rub bronze. And I am not going to pay someone to change that out. And I am not going to waste my days painting those. So I decided I'm just going to go with oil rub bronze, but I'm going to go with the crystal handles and a nice. I think it's called a rosette, or there's a back plate that's kind of has an arch to it that's really pretty. So I'm changing them out for that, and it already looks very nice, and it is very consistent with the house style. I wish I could go brass, but oh well, it'll be okay. I'll survive.
You will, and we'll be the only ones that know, us and all the listeners, that you really wanted the brass. But I think that's a great solution for you, because messing around with the hinges, once you take a door off, especially in an older house, you never know if it's going to go back on the right way. I would just not go there. But this made me think about something that wasn't on my list originally, is that Rub and Buff product, which I have not tried, but you in particular, I think, know about Rub and Buff and that it really works. So that's the product where you can actually rub on.
Oh, Kelly, are you going to mess up my whole plan? Now I'm going to have to try that.
You didn't think about Rub and Buff.
I didn't think of it.
You've used it in the past, haven't you?
I have not used it. I know about it, but I haven't used it. And I'm not sure, would that work? Lightening something? I don't know how thick that is.
I don't know. In fact, okay, so if it wasn't you, it was our friend from Affordable Interior Design Podcast who told us about Rub and Buff. Yeah, I never tried it.
I'll check it out now. Okay, well, I was getting ready to order a bunch more, but because I just did a few testers, so we'll see how this goes.
Well, I still think that your idea is the best. And I think trying to rub and buff a hinge is different than trying to rub and buff, some
Try
little...
4 hinges times, I don't know how many doors this house has.
Exactly. Just forget I said that about that.
But now
try
it's
it
going
on
to haunt
something
me.
like...
You could have rubbed and buffed. You could have rubbed and buffed.
Oh, it looks really good, but you could have rubbed and buffed to brass. But you probably can't. You probably can't go from oil rub bronze to brass. We'll have to learn about it. But let's put the link to Rub and Buff in the show notes, and everybody can try it out. I would suggest trying it out on something small, like maybe you found, a silver vase at a yard sale and you want to make it gold. That's what I would test it on. Something like that cost you like $2. Okay, you mentioned paint, and we were talking about doors. Paint is magical. And it is probably the least expensive, most dramatic change you can make in your home. And certainly if you're willing to do the right prep and you can carve out the time, if you do it yourself, it's just going to cost you the cost of the paint, the prep materials, and your time. It isn't inexpensive to get good painters. It is an art as well as a trade. So you really want to make sure that if you're going to be paying high dollars, that you have a highly recommended painter. But you can certainly do it yourself. And I would not take on a huge project myself, like my kitchen cabinets, but I know some of our listeners have, and kudos to them for doing it. But you could definitely take a small piece of furniture. You can even use my fave, spray paint. But paint is going to make an incredible difference in your home.
Yes. Paint is so transformative. And you were talking about the touch points in the bathroom. I wanted to add to that, changing out the mirror above the sinks in the bathrooms. I've done that to almost all the bathrooms here. And what a difference it makes. I mean, you're looking at this, every day. I mean, make it something that's really pretty to look at. I also agree with that point where it's a touch point. If it's something you're touching all the time, make that high end, because you're going to be touching it and you want to have a good experience when you're turning a knob, but also your bathroom mirror. Why not make it beautiful? You're going to be looking at it every day. I actually found some beautiful blue, kind of scallop, but I mean, the scallops were rather large. So it was a big oversized mirrors I found at Ballard Designs, and they were on clearance. So about half off, and I bought a couple of those, and they're just so beautiful. I'm so happy I got them, and they look so beautiful in the bathroom.
A piece of furniture that you don't have to spend a lot of money on, but can look really good if you simple lines and metal as the material is your coffee table. I like a really simple, tending to more modern coffee table. And I say modern because of the simplicity. I don't want curly cues on my metal. I don't want another shelf because it just gets dusty and you got to put rando stuff on it and people put stuff on it you don't want. I just want one solid surface, simple legs, maybe glass, could be all metal. The one I have in my living room right now is gold metal legs, and it's some stripe of wooden top, but it's painted gold. It came like that. I didn't paint it. It's fantastic. I've had it since we moved into the house. I love it. That's what I would suggest as a coffee table. It's a place where you can save, but you can still have it look really luxe. Just keep with the simple lines, and metal is usually the most reasonable, and metal and glass is a great combination.
Another idea is to add some wall sconces that do not require an electrician. So use the kind that have the cords. What a great way to add some mood lighting to a room, some interest to a wall. I've even put in a corded pendant light. I was thinking about you, Kelly, where you have very limited space in one of the bedrooms and you kind of carved out a shelf in the wall. In this particular case, there's no room for even doing that. And I ended up having to angle the bed so that you could even walk on both sides of it because it was next to a wall. But there was no place to put a table with the lamp. And so I got the idea to hang this pendant lamp, and it's just on a hook from the ceiling, and then there's a hook on the wall, and then it has a little switch on the cord so that you can turn the light off from bed. So I think that's working very well in that room.
Oh, smart. That's a great idea. Fabrics. Anita mentioned some fabrics earlier. You might want to splash out for maybe 2 pillows or 1 pillow. Get 1 yard, half a yard, something like that, of a fabric that you just absolutely love. Because fabrics can be really expensive. So you might not be able to find the fabric that you absolutely love as a large enough sample. Like I gave you that little insider tip many episodes ago about getting the big Schumacher fabric samples. That's not going to give you a 20 by 20 pillow anyway. And you might not be able to find the fabric that you absolutely love just as a remnant. So you might want to splash out for 1 or 2 pillows. But on the other pillows, you can do a couple of things. You can go with a very classic, inexpensive, stalwart type of fabric, like a ticking or like a buffalo check or a gingham, if that's going to work with your look. If you have more of a modern look, maybe you're going to just use a really nice fabric in a solid, which would tend to be a lot less expensive than a pattern type of fabric. So those are some fabrics that you could choose sort of as your filler pillows, right? And just maybe have 1 or 2 that are over the top great. Another option for fabrics to maybe get some over the top fabrics is end of bolt and remnants. And if you search online for end of bolt or remnant, there are actually companies that just sell fabrics like that. Like they have, trickled down from the big fabric houses and a little bit left here and a little bit left there, and they don't know what to do with it. And they end up in places like this. And there's really so many when you Google search them that it's not even worthwhile for me to list them all. You can check them out for yourself, and everybody's going to have different tastes as far as the fabrics go, but you can get real high quality fabric that's going to make a difference in your decor, to be visibly and tactilely delicious for your decorating. at a really low price?
Well, I've actually been looking for a lot of fabric. I needed a lot of indoor-outdoor fabric for a project, and I've been buying from a place called Fabric Warehouse, and they had some pretty good prices on some of the fabrics, and they actually have an option where you can suggest a price and they'll work with you on the price, especially if you're buying a lot. I needed 20 some yards, so it was a lot. But that's something that you can do as well. And I think they had some great prices and some good brands. So, yes, look around. Like you said, I think definitely if you have an opportunity to use remnants. Usually my projects are too big to use remnants because usually that's just a yard or two. But if you just need a yard or two, you can get usually a great deal on a remnant. And I used to love going to Interior Fabrics, Calico Corners, and just buying the end of a bolt, like you said, in person. And, it's in the store. It's taking up space. They would have marked it way down. There were remnants. I bought those all the time. But, you just can't do that anymore. There's hardly any fabric stores left. And even Calico Corners does not keep fabric, at least the one that I used to go to. They don't keep fabric in stock there. So there are no remnants to buy in the store. So it's a very different shopping experience these days.
Interesting. And a little word of caution. You'll be Googling for fabrics and spoon flower comes up. Now, I am not anti-spoon flower, but you have to recognize it for what it is. They're printing those fabrics or the patterns onto some sort of maybe a cotton blend or a cotton or something like that. It's not going to be the same as getting a Schumacher fabric, for example. Fill in the blank, any high-end fabric.
Right. It's going to tend to be a thinner fabric, not an upholstery weight fabric. But the other problem is those fabrics tend to be a very narrow width. If you're sewing for a home decor project, you usually need that full 54-inch width. So I really am not happy when I pull up a fabric and it's 44 inches wide or something else. I wouldn't use those for home sewing at all. Not for home decor.
Agreed. Yeah. So I would stay away from those.
Some of these fabrics, if you don't get them for the right application, if you get, like, for example, curtain fabric and use it as upholstery, but sitting on the fabric can wear off the color, and that's happened to me before. So you have to be very careful.
Yes. So careful. That's why we're here. This is dangerous stuff, this decorating.
We've made the mistake, so hopefully you don't.
You don't have to.
That's right.
I have one more, Anita. Wallpaper in small, unexpected spots. If you're wanting to use a little wallpaper, even if you're going with my approach of being very classic and neutral and these neutral colors, you could still work in a wallpaper. I can think off the top of my head several patterns that would look great with my camel black neutral look. But you don't want to spend a ton of money on rolls and rolls and rolls of wallpaper and then someone to hang it. Maybe you just do the back of a bookcase. Maybe you splash out and do a whole powder room, but it's still just a little room. Or you just add it in a panel somewhere or a triptych of panels. So a little will go a long way when you've got some quality wallpaper.
Oh, you're not going to believe what I did with some wallpaper. We have a refrigerator that doesn't have any trim wood around it. There's no cabinetry around it, and the side is exposed. And the way they make them now, the shells are the same no matter what's on the front. They're always black on the sides, no matter whether it's stainless steel or whatever on the front. So
really,
that was just ruining my vibe in there. Is all I can tell you. So,
I mean, there's a lot going on in the world, but when you have to deal with that,
I am telling you,
you had to draw the line.
It was just sucking the life out of the room. So I found some wallpaper, and I used wallpaper on the side of the refrigerator, and it really looks very nice and custom. I love it.
Stop it. Good girl. Is it adhesive?
Yes, it's peel and stick. I would use the peel and stick.
Fantastic. What pattern did you use?
Well, I don't know what it's called. I'll have to go back and look.
Oh, that's okay. You send me a picture. I got to see this. Absolutely fabulous decorating idea. And that's a lovely right on topic tip for budget decorating.
Oh, that's
some people
true.
just
That's
have
right.
an exposed side of the refrigerator. Maybe you don't have it built in. Maybe it's not cabinet depth. Maybe it's sticking out, and you could do something like that. Very cool, Anita. Okay, so what are we defining?
Well, I have one more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so my last idea is to paint the furniture that's boring. And I actually, like I said, I have this pool house. That's where we have people over. It's just a fun little space, but it was kind of boring. And I just felt like it really needed to be kicked up a notch. So, I added the wallpaper, of course, to the side of the refrigerator. But the other thing that I did was I added a lot of color in there with fabrics, pillows, artwork. But the other thing I did was I took some furniture in there and painted it, kind of a really pretty pink. So
Whoa.
I know it's
love
very
it.
strong colored pink. So it's a pretty color, and it just it looks very different. I mean, I love it. To me, that's where we have people over. So it should be fun and lively and make people feel cheery. So it works for me.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so what are we defining today?
Well, we've kind of switched into talking more about the history of things. And so,
Yeah, do we need to call it something else?
well, maybe
now?
DTT history. How about that?
Okay, Anita, do we have a DTT defines today or a DTT historical?
Yes, I have a DTT historical fact for you, and that is about
There you
home
go.
refrigerators. I thought this had some interesting facts, interesting information about it. So in the 1860s, Americans introduced the ice box, and this cooled food using an ice block. It was pre-electrical refrigeration. And the first functioning refrigerator was made in 1850 by James Harrison, and he used ether in the coils, which was very interesting to me. But Abbé Marcel Audifrin, who was a Frenchman, is credited for inventing the first domestic refrigerator. And in 1911, GE acquired the rights to his electric refrigerator. And at the time, it cost $1,000 to buy one, which was twice the cost of a new car at the time. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, they were very expensive at the time. Only the very rich had them. And the interesting thing is that GE got into the refrigerator business not because they wanted to sell refrigerators, but to increase the demand for electricity, which is what they really wanted to sell. Isn't that the way that works?
Wow. Okay, that's so interesting.
So early refrigerators then switched to ammonia as the coolant. But in 1920, the engineers replaced ammonia with synthetic coolants like Freon, which, was used for many years. And then in 1942, here's another interesting fact. Laurel Guild suggested to Servel, and Servel was apparently a refrigerator manufacturer, that they should put a butter drawer in the door so that it would stay softer because that was one of the warmer places of the refrigerator. But at the time, the company ignored her because they said, oh, butter's a luxury item and most people don't have that. And so they did not do it. But now every refrigerator, as you know, has a standard butter drawer in the door. And unfortunately, Laurel Guild, no one even remembers that it was her idea.
Oh, but now we know, and I'm so glad you shared
Okay,
that
one more
with
fact.
us.
By 1965, here's an interesting thing. 85% of U.S. households had refrigerators, but in the U.K., very suspicious of these, only a third of the people had a refrigerator. By 2009, more than 25% of American households owned at least 2 refrigerators. So now it's probably up to 3. Who knows?
Well, I only have the one refrigerator. Refrigerators take a lot of energy.
They do.
So if you don't need it, lots of people have just the extra refrigerator plugged in their garage. I see this a lot when I go to clients' houses. I got a lot of people wanting to change their garages into ADUs these days because the regulations have really fallen away after all the fires, and everybody needs a lot of it. We need a lot of extra housing here for a lot of reasons. I'm going into these garages of clients, and I'm like, what? And the hulking thing is on. And there's maybe like 3 plastic water bottles in there. I'm like, you don't need that.
No, that's awful. Mm-mm. I don't like that.
So if you have that, maybe rethink it because you really are. GE was right. You're using a lot of electricity.
Well, they are more
to
energy
keep that thing
efficient
going
now than they used to be. But
Right.
yeah, if it's
Sure.
outside in the heat, it's even running even more. Although some of them are meant to run in garages under intense heat
really?
situations, but still, it's still going to be an energy drain. So we do have an extra one that's, that I try not to run if I don't need to. So yeah, that is a good point, especially if it's in your garage. You really don't want to run it if you don't have to.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to switch my crush today because I want to sort of continue on with the ice theme that you started with the explanation of the refrigerator. I just finished reading a book. It's an older book. It's, I think, from 2012. Actually, a client of mine gave it to me. It's called Transatlantic. It's by Colin McCann. And it was fantastic. I love a historical fiction, particularly one that spans over a long period of time and has different characters in these different time periods, but somehow the author is so skilled that they weave them all together. And this does just that. Transatlantic. There's Frederick Douglass is in it, this Norwegian man who made ice blocks. That's why I'm talking about it today. And then all his descendants. The writing is spectacular. The story is engrossing. I think you will love it. It's probably great on Audible too. I did not listen to it. I actually read the book. So Transatlantic, I can highly recommend that book.
So my crush is the YouTube channel This Is Our Retirement. I've actually been following them for a while, and it's a couple, Norm and Tina. They're from the UK, but they moved to Canada several years ago, and they retired early, and they really kind of talk about the importance of retiring early and that you don't really need a lot of money. They didn't have any money. They sold their house, they moved into an apartment, and they really pinched their pennies, and they've really been enjoying the most wonderful retirement, and you can really see how they do it. And I mean, they're so delightful. They're such a wonderful couple. I've been enjoying watching this channel for a while. Well, just very recently, Norm has passed away, and he's just the kindest, sweetest person. Tina recently said that Norm has passed away, so she's continuing the channel on her own. Just such a sweet, dear person, and I think if that topic interests you at all, go give her a follow. She's such a sweetie, and I think she would really appreciate the support.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tina.
I know.
Well, good thing they retired early or whatever that means for them, and they got to spend some great time together.
This was so fun today, Kelly.
It was.
We always like to talk about saving money and getting the most bang for your buck. So thanks so much for hanging out with us. And remember, we are here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Fabulous. Fun. Wow. Even better than I had hoped or expected. These are just a few of the words used to describe a DTT design consult. We've been doing consults for many years, and boy, are we good at it. And people are loving the results of the advice and suggestions that we make for them. It's so easy to schedule a consult with us. Just simply go to our website, decoratingtipsandtricks.com, and click consult. There you'll be led through the very simple process. And sooner than later, you, I, and Anita will be discussing your home in detail. So sign up for a consult today. Let us help you design and decorate the home that you want and deserve. Looking forward to talking to you soon.